what Vice President Harris just described as an apocalyptic event. This briefing from the President and Vice
Report giving an update on the California wildfires. We will continue to monitor the devastation and bring you updates, but first, let's get into our local news.
We have breaking news. The man suspected of a New Lisbon triple homicide is now in custody.
47-year-old Virgil Thew is accused of killing a woman and 2 children on December 30th. Since then, police have been looking for Thew, sending out pictures of him and receiving nearly 200 tips about where he was.
Law enforcement found him in the city of Elroy, not too far from where police found the victims' bodies. That was on West Bridge Street in New Lisbon. We're expecting more information later today. In a Facebook post, New Lisbon police said they'll have an updated press release later.
Our Tanisha Shaw is live outside the Juneau County Sheriff's Department.
She spoke to victims' loved ones earlier. Tanisha, tell us what you heard from them.
Yes, I spoke to the family of Skyla Sorenso. She's one of the 3 involved in this triple homicide. The 3 dead are 13-year-old Skyla, her 12-year-old cousin, and Elizabeth Koba. She's believed to be Virgil Thew's girlfriend. Sorenso's parents says Thew and Skyla are cousins. Thew picked up Skyla for a sleepover with the 12-year-old cousin in late December. That is the last time the Sorensos got to see their daughter. I talked to the parents right before their arrest.
If I'd have known that was going to happen, she'd have never went. I'd let her be mad at me. But if people would ask me, did I think Virgil would do something like that? No way at all. The Virgil we all know did not do that.
If you would ask us that, I would have to agree with my husband.
I just want to know why. If he did it, why?
Why did you take something away from all of us?
Roughly an hour after this interview, Juneau County Sheriff Department announced that they have Thew in custody. Now, the funerals are this weekend and next weekend. This weekend, the 12-year-old will be laid to rest, and next weekend is Skyla's funeral. We'll keep you updated with everything you need to know today and throughout the week. Reporting in Juneau County, Tanisha Shaw, News 3 Now.
Tanisha, thank you. Let's get a look at our first warn forecast. Meteorologist Blaze Keller is out on the patio. Is it just a little bit warmer out?
No.
Oh, well, I tried.
It's still cold. We don't have any snow on the ground, but it is still cold out. We've spent every day this month so far, including today as of now, below freezing. So that's 9 days. And it could even be longer that we spend below that 32-degree mark. But in the more immediate future, we're going to be tracking out a little bit of some light snow and maybe some patchy freezing drizzle as we go overnight into your Friday. We're looking at about 5:30 on Future Track. We could see a band of some of that light flurry action to light snow shower action as we go into the start of your morning commute. That should last through probably most of your commute as this quick little system moves on through here, especially during the morning hours. That's going to be the best time to see at least accumulating snow into the afternoon as winds turn back out of the northwest, maybe just a few flakes here and there. But for the most part, we're looking at less than an inch in accumulation Thursday night into your Friday morning. But again, maybe an isolated spot of 1/4 of an inch can't be ruled out, especially farther south. So there it is. We got to 32 degrees, so we have finally, after 9 days, at least climbed to freezing here in Madison. It's 32 in Boscobel, 31 in Monroe, 30 in Janesville. Into Dane County, Middleton, we're also at freezing, along with Verona, McFarland. You're kind of getting the picture there. So Wanakee, we're actually above freezing right now at 33 degrees. We're going to be in the 20s tonight, mostly cloudy conditions. Those clouds are going to be moving in as we go throughout the night. We are going to track out a better chance for accumulating snow to end your weekend in the full forecast.
Thank you, Blaze. Now let's take a live look at Plains, Georgia, where the late President Jimmy Carter will be laid to rest shortly. His state funeral in D.C. wrapped up a few hours ago, and now his remains are on the way to his hometown. The service is being held at the Maranatha Baptist Church, where Carter taught Sunday school for decades. We'll have more on what happened at his state funeral later on Live at 4.
An update now into the investigation of the shooting at Abundant Life Christian School. That update comes today in the form of a video message from Madison Police Chief Sean Barnes. Barnes says in the video that detectives are in the process of writing search warrants and subpoenas to gather information from social media companies. That process, he says, will likely result in tens of thousands of pages of data to review.
No charging decisions will be made until detectives have had time to review all physical and digital evidence linked to this case. Again, this is a lengthy process, and it could be several more weeks or months before a decision is made.
As for physical evidence, Barnes says 21 shell cases were discovered at the scene, as well as 2 firearms, only one of which was used in the shooting. Of the 6 people injured, 2 are still in the hospital in what UW Health is calling fair condition.
And the community is continuing to support the victims and survivors of this tragic shooting in any way they can.
Today, Texas Roadhouse is donating a portion of their sales to the Abundant Life Christian School Emergency and Recovery Fund. Arman Rahman is live at the West Side location with more. Hi, Arman.
That's right, Brady and Maddie. We've been here since about 10 minutes after they opened at about 3 o'clock, and the parking lot was already pretty full. And now behind me, the restaurant is already pretty full. The waiting room is already pretty full. So it's a little bit of a hopeful turn to this tragic story, the community coming out here to support. Tonight's Dine to Donate fundraiser is taking place both here and at the East Side location on Anamark Drive in collaboration with the United Way of Dane County's Emergency Recovery Fund that they organized. About 100% of the proceeds from both locations will be going to that fund. It comes just days after a similar fundraiser over at the Culver's, 80 Culver's locations across the state. And as you might have seen here on News 3 Now, local restaurants for Culver's were packed, their drive-through lines especially for that fundraising event. So the manager here tells me they're preparing for 4 days for a similar type of turnout. Take a look.
We know that we're going to be busy all day. I anticipated the parking lot would start to fill up about 2:30, and it sure did. We saw the lines, and I got my whole group of servers together up at the host stand and just told them what's going to happen. We have big holidays here, Mother's Day, Father's Day. I said, think of that times 10. And they said, yes, ma'am. So they are ready and prepared.
And according to a spokesperson with United Way, as of this morning, the fund has reached over $250,000 with over 1,500 people donating so far. Now, that doesn't include what was raised at Culver's. They said they are not sharing what they have raised publicly, but that total will eventually be reflected in the United Way's total for the fund. United Way says 100% of the funds will go directly to ALCS, and it will remain open for the time being. If you'd like to help, you can donate by visiting the United Way website or texting HELP for ALCS to the number 40403. We'll be here throughout the night to track just how much of the community is coming out here to support a good cause. I'll bring you more on News 3 Now later on at 5 and 6. For now, reporting on the west side of Madison, Arman Rahman, News 3 Now.
Thank you, Arman. Right now, deadly fires across the Los Angeles area are forcing nearly 200,000 people to leave their homes.
Our Merrill Hubbard joins us with the latest updates from California. Merrill?
Yeah, Maddie and Brady, apocalyptic scenes like this are emerging across Los Angeles County as firefighters work overtime to battle the fires. Here's what we know. The wildfires are affecting the following areas: the Pacific Palisades, Brentwood, Hollywood Hills, and Aldana. They remain mostly uncontained. 5 people have been reported dead, but the real number is likely higher and remains unknown. It's also being reported that the Palisades fire is the most destructive ever to hit Los Angeles County. In the next half hour, I'll talk about how the fire is impacting a local event.
Thank you, Merrill. Well, next on Live at 4, an update on the allegations of animal abuse.
And a look at how leaders honored the life of Jimmy Carter when we come back. Welcome back. A special prosecutor will investigate allegations of animal cruelty against beagle breeder Ridgeland Farms in Blue Mountains. At a hearing in October, Dane for Dogs and Alliance for Animals presented what they claim is evidence of animal abuse against the breeder. While on the stand, an animal rescuer said when he visited Ridgeland, it was obvious the dogs were not just in distress, but psychosis. Former Ridgeland Farms workers also testified, saying the dogs never go on walks, go outside, or leave their cages. The order to appoint a special prosecutor stems from evidence presented at that hearing. In her decision, the judge said the groups were able to show there's probable cause to believe that Ridgeland has committed crimes under the state's animal cruelty laws. News 3 Now's Kyle Pazorski has been following this story for months. He's reached out to Ridgeland and its attorney for comment, but we haven't received anything back yet.
When you recycle, you may not be thinking about your wallet. Nonpartisan Wisconsin Policy Forum's new report details how local governments are paying for the service.
Our Ellie LaLiberte spoke with the report's author and shows us what the findings mean. Ellie?
Well, governments have three main sources to cover recycling service costs. Those include local sale of materials, fees, and state aid. Now, this graph from the report shows that state aid has decreased from roughly 33% in 2009 to just about 16% in 2021. So what does this mean? Well, essentially, local governments throughout Wisconsin have continued to steadily spend more on recycling, but because the state aid has stayed at roughly $20 million, inflation makes that stress less and less. That means having to fill the gap.
So what's had to make up for that is fees to residents, property taxes, those sorts of things. And so, it's been tougher to pay for recycling services because of that.
Recycling, however, can also be a moneymaker for local governments. Selling materials like aluminum cans can help pay for recycling services, but Burns says that isn't a reliable revenue source because of how much it can fluctuate. And tonight at 5, you can hear from the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources about what this report means for the environment.
Ellie, thank you. Let's get a look now at your first warn forecast. Blaze Keller in the warmth now. Hey, Blaze.
Hello. Yes, we are going to continue to track maybe a few slick spots here as we go overnight. A little bit of snow is expected. We mentioned that at the top of the hour, but the better chance for accumulating snow, for more of us to see snow, is actually going to arrive starting later Saturday and continue into your Sunday. And then after that, we really continue to sit underneath these cooler than average temperatures as we go over the next, I would say, 7 to 10 days. So the ideal path for a clipper system for us here in central and southern Wisconsin is more of this yellow path that kind of digs into parts of northern Illinois, really capitalizes on the moisture off of Lake Michigan as it moves on through. But this green path indicates generally the path that our clipper system on Sunday is going to be taking. It's not going to dive as far south. In fact, it's actually going to move back north and eastward as it moves through Wisconsin. So that already is telling us that farther north and east, they're going to have the better chance for more accumulating snow as we go Saturday into Sunday. So this is one of our longer range models, the GFS's interpretation of where this system is going to be by Sunday evening, and then further into Monday. And if we compare that to the European model and the GFS are kind of agreeing generally, but the Euro maybe has a little bit more snow with it, especially further south and west. But they both agree really a lot of that heavier snow is going to accumulate across northeastern parts of not only Wisconsin, but the UP and then into southern Canada. We're looking at maybe an inch at best here based on the GFS's track. And then if we move towards the European model, we get to maybe 1 to 2 inches of snow. And we find that more central and northern Wisconsin kind of tap into that 2 to 4 inch possibility. But overall, this is going to be a light, fluffier snow as this is coming out of the northwest. But we're continuing to see the trends kind of keep a lot of that off to the north and east. If we were to get even an inch of snow, that would be our snowiest day of the month so far. We usually pick up nearly 14 inches of snow by the end of January. We're not to the halfway point yet, but we haven't even accumulated 1/10 of an inch of snow here in the Madison area. And I think that's a safe bet to assume a lot of southern and central Wisconsin really haven't seen a whole lot of snow because we have kind of this bubble, if you will, of no snow. Whereas parts of Texas, Oklahoma, the desert Southwest, the Ohio River Valley have more snow on the ground than we do. And, this is kind of what we saw in September when we didn't see a whole lot of rain. It's because we've had high pressure systems systems come in out of the northwest and really suck up the air, make it really too dry for any moisture to get in here. And they've also kept a lot of these snowmakers kind of around our area. But we will finally see some snowflakes and maybe some measurable snow as we go overnight and mainly into your Friday morning and then again on Saturday night into Sunday. So for snow lovers, this is kind of our best chance, I would say, over the next 7 to 10 days. And for folks who want to get out on the ice, and we've been seeing a lot more folks on the ice. This is great news because we don't have that insulation, so the ice is only going to continue to thicken up across our area lakes. But we are looking at a cooler start to next week when we only hang out right around 16 degrees on Monday and Tuesday, and then we're back to maybe flirting with about the low 30s by Thursday of next week.
Thank you, Blaze. Americans are observing a national day of mourning as the life of former President Jimmy Carter is celebrated in a state funeral, and he is laid to rest.
The 39th president is being remembered not only for his service in office, but also for his extraordinary service to the world after leaving office. Natalie Brand has more details from Washington, D.C.
Former President Jimmy Carter's state funeral brought together all the living presidents to remember a peacemaker.
That was Jimmy Carter. And he grew up in the tremendous diversity of the South, and he embraced both sides.
He had the courage and strength to stick to his principles even when they were politically unpopular.
Carter's grandson Jason called the 39th president's politics ahead of their time.
Wanted to decriminalize marijuana, deregulated so many industries that he gave us cheap flights and, as you heard, craft beer. Basically, all of those years ago, he was the first millennial.
President Biden, who was the first U.S. senator to endorse Carter's White House bid, praised his character.
Jimmy Carter's friendship taught me, and through his life taught me, the strength of character is more than title or the power we hold.
Nicknamed the rock and roll president, music punctuated the service at Washington National Cathedral.
You may say I'm a dreamer.
Among the 3,000 special guests, Chuck Lavelle, who helped get Carter elected as a member of the Allman Brothers Band.
What were you thinking about during that service?
I was thinking about my friendship with him and the friendship that he had with so many people, you know, and so obvious the love that was in that room.
Carter departed the nation's capital for the last time Thursday afternoon, headed for his hometown of Plains, Georgia, where he will be buried next to Rosalynn, his wife of 77 years. Natalie Brandt, CBS News, Washington.
And we'll be right back. Here is another live look at the church in Plains, Georgia, where the late President Jimmy Carter will be laid to rest shortly. We have heard that they just brought his casket into the church for this funeral.
His state funeral in D.C. just wrapped up a few hours ago, so his remains are going to be on his way to his hometown very soon. His service, like Brady said, being held at Marathona Baptist Church, where he's taught Sunday school for decades. We'll have more later on the state funeral, later on Live at 4.
And we are already working for the weekend back here in the 608 today.
Josh Spider is here with an early look at your weekend planner.
I'm off the rest of the week, but I couldn't leave without giving you 3 things to do this weekend, so let's get it on the calendar a little early. First up, an event organizers hope continues to grow. We're talking about the Mad Gluten-Free Mini Fest. This is happening Saturday at the Old Sugar Distillery on the Near East Side. You'll remember we recovered, oh shoot, sorry. We didn't recover, we covered. I feel like I'm recovering. All right, here we go. Take 2 in 3, 2, 1. I'm off the rest of the week, but I couldn't leave without giving you 3 things to do this weekend, so let's get it on the calendar a little early. First up, an event organizers hope continues to grow. We're talking about the Mad Gluten-Free Mini Fest. This is happening Saturday at the Old Sugar Distillery on the Near East Side. You'll remember we covered an event like this previously. This is video from Alt Brew last summer. These newer gluten-free events are welcome to all, but especially cater to those who need to avoid consuming gluten. This Saturday's event will have around 10 vendors selling gluten-free goods. Again, this is at the Old Sugar Distillery from 2 to 5 in the afternoon. Also on Saturday, join Madison Parks, Wild Warner, and the Friends of Cherokee Marsh for a candlelight snowshoe hike. This is a free family-friendly event at Warner Park happening from 6 to 8 in the evening. Tour the park by candlelight and warm up by the fire. You're just asked to wear appropriate winter footwear. No registration is needed. Then rounding out our 3 things, don't forget to support your local farmers for the late winter Dane County Farmers Market. This is at Garver Feed Mill. On Saturday morning, support 50 of your favorite farmers, cheesemakers, and bakers from 8 to noon. The market runs each Saturday through April 5th. For more ideas this weekend in the 608, just go to channel3000.com. For Live at 4, Josh Sprider, News 3 Now.
You know, sometimes you just need to take a breath and start over again.
Sometimes you do. We love Josh so much, we wanted to hear him say it all twice.
I do that all the time. So, you know, we're human.
It happens. It happens.
Maybe he just needed some coffee because tomorrow Caribou Coffee will have its grand opening in Madison.
Good segue. There will be a ribbon cutting ceremony at the new location on Buttonwood Drive at 10 in the morning. The location offers both indoor and outdoor spaces to sit and a drive-through. The first 50 people to show up will get a free tote bag. There are special deals throughout the first week. This location is open. You can find all of it up on this story on channel3000.com.
And coming up on Live at 4, why Beloit police have the attention of the entire nation.
And the way a local event will be impacted by the California fires.
watching News 3 Now, live at 4.
Some wind, perhaps?
Some wind, perhaps. Some snow, perhaps. That's a pretty shot, though, with the pine tree.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, we're not seeing a lot of snow, but that could be changing. Our weather words are some snow on the way. Blaze, I have to apologize. I thought it was warmer, but I realized I just wore a heavier coat.
We all make mistakes.
Well, you know what? We did get to 32 degrees, so by some people's standards, we did get warmer today.
However,
there we go. This has been our first time above freezing, or at least getting to freezing since the start of the month, but we are expecting some snow on the way. The temperatures are not warm enough to obviously kind of negate that, but that first round of snow is set to arrive later tonight into your day on Friday as a little burst of energy kind of moves through the Midwest. Also, some freezing drizzle will be possible as well. Future Track brings the best snow chance beginning after midnight into about the 5-6 o'clock time frame on Friday. So your morning commute, especially further east, may be impacted by some of that light snow. And then as we go into the second half of your Friday, maybe some flurries there on the back end of this little low pressure system. But most of us will likely not even see an inch of snow, probably even a half an inch of snow. But I would say further south and east, you're going to have the best chance for that for the greater snow accumulations. We're still at freezing in Madison, 30 in Mineral Point, 32 Boscobel, 27 in Viroqua. We're above freezing in Waunakee at 33, 31 in Deerfield, as well as in Stoughton. We're headed into the 20s tonight. We're going to talk about how we are not quite done yet with these cooler than average temperatures. That's coming up in the full forecast.
Blaze, thank you. Madison police are investigating after finding a body earlier today. This was on Sprecher Road. We don't have any other information right now, but we did have our crew on scene to get this video. They can confirm there was a body found. This is an ongoing story, and we'll provide updates as soon as we have them right here on News 3 Now.
And right now, deadly fires across the Los Angeles area are forcing nearly 200,000 people to leave their homes.
Our Merrill Hubbard joins us with the latest in California.
Yeah, Maddie and Brady, Los Angeles County is a devastating scene. Firefighters are working overtime to battle the fires, and families are trying to hold on to their livelihoods. Here's what we know so far. The wildfires are affecting the following areas: the Pacific Palisades, Brentwood, Hollywood Hills, and Aldana. They remain mostly uncontained. We are seeing some of the local effects from the fire out here in Madison. Joey's Song is a nonprofit foundation that raises money for epilepsy awareness through music events. This foundation is having their Freezing Man concerts this week, but some bands aren't able to make it because of the fires.
As many of you guys know, there's some severe wildfires going on in LA right now, and the devastation is unbelievable. We have folks here that did make it in that don't know if they're going to have houses to go back to. Unfortunately, one of the members of Eve 6, his house is literally right in the path of the wildfires, and they just got the evac notice.
Mike Gamal is the president of the foundation. He says the concerts will still continue, and so they hope the people who can't make it will be safe and take care of their family. Now, it's also being reported that the Palisades fire is the most destructive ever to hit Los Angeles County.
Merrill, thank you. And right now, Beloit is gaining national attention. This comes after the city's police department responded to concerns from within its community about what could happen to undocumented people when President-elect Trump takes office. Trump has promised the largest deportation in U.S. history, and his pick to lead the Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, Tom Homan, has said even documented immigrants and kids who were born here with undocumented parents could be deported. BPD made a post addressing concerns on Facebook on January 2nd. Then less than a week later, Beloit was trending on X in the U.S. Homan even weighed in and accused BPD of prioritizing the lives of illegal aliens over American citizens. That's not what BPD's statement said. The post said its department is dedicated to making sure all residents and visitors, regardless of their immigration status, will have access to its services. BPD also said it will cooperate with ICE requests if an undocumented person has engaged in or is suspected of terrorism and espionage, is reasonably suspected of being involved in a criminal street gang, is arrested for any violent felony, or is a previously deported felon, and there's an independent basis for detaining or arresting them. We've contacted the Beloit Police Department for comment. Its spokesperson referred us back to the original Facebook post.
Governor Tony Evers is declaring an energy emergency in our state. He says it's due in part to severe winter weather and its impact on the distribution of residential heating fuel, including oil and propane. His executive order will provide a 30-day window for certain state and federal hours of service restrictions so suppliers can get caught up from weather-related delays. A statement from the governor reads in part, quote, getting residential heating fuel like propane and heating oil moving now to those who need it will help Wisconsinites remain safe as we continue to face cool and freezing temperatures in the coming months.
And we'll be right back. On the next Live at 4, Will Loper shows us what's streaming this weekend.
And we'll speak with a local expert about how artificial intelligence could impact Wisconsin's workforce.
Meta will no longer fact-check information on its social media platforms.
Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg made the announcement earlier this week. To learn about how this will affect the landscapes of Instagram, Threads, and Facebook, we spoke with UW's Lucas Graves, world-renowned expert on media and fact-checking.
Very good advice. Professor Graves, thanks for being on with us.
It's my pleasure. Thanks so much.
Well, we promised there's more to that interview.
Having some technical difficulties today.
Hopefully we can try to bring that back for you. Producer Maggie, should we go to break or? Okay, we're going to go to break and work on that. Don't go anywhere. We'll come right back.
Can you hear us? Oops. Hi, Lori, can you hear us?
Hey, Lori, can you hear us?
I can.
Hi.
Great.
Could you say your last name for me?
Sure, it's Rosner.
Rosner, okay. Dr. Lori Amber Rosner.
Perfect.
Very good. Well, yeah, thank you for being on with us today.
Certainly, I'm happy to be here.
You have Maddie and Brady with you.
Okay.
Well, there is another live look at services for former President Jimmy Carter in his home of Plains, Georgia. This service looks like it has just begun, and we have been monitoring all day the tributes and last respects paid to the 39th president. Well, and as the nation mourns the 39th president, many are remembering him for his work after leaving the White House.
The stories we heard today in which Carter is praised for his work is often different than the ones we heard while he was serving. Here to talk about the public's perception of Carter and his portrayal in the media, Dr. Lori Amber Rosner, who wrote the book Jimmy Carter and the Birth of the Marathon Media Campaign. Hi, Lori. Thanks for joining us.
Sure, it's an honor to be here.
Tell us a little bit about your book. When you say the birth of that media campaign, what does that mean?
Well, so what I'm referring to there is just the ways in which in the mid-70s the campaigning process was elongated, and the ways in which candidates like Jimmy Carter announced their runs for office ever earlier, and news media covered those campaigns earlier and earlier.
And you know, he was a one-term president, and I'm sure at the time that was probably considered a failure, but then cut to now, we keep hearing about a lot of his good works outside of the office, and that's really bolstered his reputation. You know, what do you think about some of those tributes coming in talking about just the whole breadth of him as a person?
Yeah, well, certainly the shorthand had been prior to this moment that former President Carter was something of a failed president, but the most noble ex-president. But what I think that we're seeing happening now in this moment is a bit of a re-examination of Carter's presidency and an understanding that the sorts of crises that he encountered that last year in his presidency, so particularly the Iranian hostage crisis, that served to overshadow many of the major successes of his presidency.
And does that something that happens often when a former president passes, that their legacy is kind of re-examined in this way, that they're reconsidered?
I mean, I think that certainly what public memory scholars would say is that as time goes on, many presidencies are remembered in kind of a kinder light, particularly those that have ended in one term. I think that we're seeing a really unique re-remembering of the Carter presidency, in part because of the 4 decades that followed and the ways in which he gave back to his community and beyond through his efforts with the Carter Center and also with Habitat for Humanity.
I can't help but notice, I mean, this funeral comes just a few weeks before we are set to inaugurate President-elect Trump into his second term. And I think we've all seen video and photos of former President Obama and President-elect Trump talking, other presidents, former presidents who might differ in policy and politics coming together to talk. Is there anything from that you're taking? I mean, it seems like in his final moments, former President Carter is perhaps uniting people. Does that strike you at all?
Yeah, I definitely think that certainly there is a consensus amongst those former presidents that Carter was remarkable as a man of integrity, a leader of great character that helped glue our country back together in the aftermath of Vietnam and Watergate. And so I think there is a great respect for former President Carter. Moreover, I would kind of call the moment that we saw in Washington today a moment of fragile unity. So those former presidents there in one space, paying respect, paying tribute to our former president, Jimmy Carter.
Dr. Lori Amber Rosner, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your expertise.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And we'll be right back. Oh, nope, just kidding. We're going to go over to Blaze. We'll be right back.
We will be right back.
Blaze, you're on the clock now.
Got a lot to talk about, but apparently Brady doesn't want to.
I'm always trying to sabotage you.
We have got some snow on the way overnight into your Friday, but the better chance is going to arrive later Saturday night and stick throughout your Sunday before we continue in really this prolonged cooler than average temperature trend. For the most part, you know, we'll have a warmer than average day, but generally speaking, we're going to continue to maybe stay cooler than average through maybe the end of January. So this latest Clipper system is going to be taking this green path here. Latest trends continue to keep it far north of this yellow line here, which would otherwise be the best path for a typical Clipper system to take to bring us here across central and southern Wisconsin, that measurable snow. So if we're looking at the GFS, we're watching this low pressure system, this Clipper, bring us that snow starting overnight Saturday throughout your Sunday and then wrapping up as we go into those morning hours on Monday. Generally speaking, about an inch at best, I would say, here across southern Wisconsin. Further north and east, we continue to see the higher snow accumulations because that's where more of that moisture is being moved. It's interacting with that cooler air and then falling as snow. But if we do get any snow out of this system, it'll probably be our snowiest day so far this month. We've only picked up a trace amount of snow this January compared to previous Januaries. We are very far behind. And we usually pick up nearly 14 inches of snow throughout the entire month. So we're getting to that halfway point. So we do have a lot of ground to make up. But we're not going to be ushering in any warmer than average temperatures. So we kind of have a lot of the necessary things needed to get that snow, but we're going to continue to stay underneath these cooler than average temperatures as we go maybe over the next 8 to 14 days, taking us through about January 23rd. We're looking at about a 40 to maybe 50% chance of sitting underneath those cooler than average temperatures. Most likely, we're going to continue to watch these high pressure systems come on out of Canada, out of northwestern Canada, Alaska, affirming that cooler air, kind of bringing down another batch of that cold air, and we're going to likely see that through maybe the end of January. But as I mentioned, a day or two where we're above average can't be ruled out, but generally speaking, a lot of our overnight lows and daytime highs are going to be either seasonal or below average. Tomorrow, we're back into those upper 20s, maybe a low 30 there, but most of that snow is going to wrap up during the morning hours. I would say further south and east, you're going to have a better chance for that snow longer into the morning. So plan on maybe a bit of a headache, a slower morning commute because of the freezing drizzle possibility as well. Snow possible on Sunday. We're looking at best 1 to 3 inches. Then a cool down Monday and Tuesday because of that fresh cold air and maybe some snow on the ground as well. But then we stay quiet through the rest of your upcoming work week with maybe some light snow chances there by that following weekend.
Welcome back. Meta will no longer fact-check information on its social media platforms.
Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg made that announcement earlier this week. To learn about how this will affect the landscapes of Instagram, Threads, and Facebook, we spoke with UW's Lucas Graves. He's a world-renowned expert on media and fact-checking.
Well, Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg said that this is about free speech, and he said fact checkers were biased. I think a lot of our viewers out there will be wondering, like, how is fact checking showing a bias? What are your thoughts on that?
So, in my view, that statement was simply meant to curry favor with the Trump administration because there's been a talking point developing over the last several years, especially on the right, that fact-checking is biased and that it's a form of censorship. In fact, all of the fact-checkers that Meta works with have to be approved as being sort of nonpartisan and independent. They can't have any, ties to government agencies or to political parties. They're assessed every year for their adherence to their code of principles. So I think there's no evidence, and Mark Zuckerberg, and Meta in general offered no evidence to back up the idea that their fact-checking partners had shown any kind of systematic bias.
Kind of leads into my next question. First, I want to read a quote from a man named Martin Schenk, co-founder of Lead Stories, a fact-checking site. He says, ultimately, the truth doesn't care about consensus or agreement. The shape of the earth stays the same, even if social media users can't agree on it. So, of course, people will argue that fact-checking in this case, it can be a slippery slope because people are saying, I have a right to my free speech. And, of course, the First Amendment is paramount to our way of living. It seems like it's tricky when you get people who are sharing things that aren't true, and then that gets shared, and that gets shared, and then the conversation just gets out of control. Is that why this is such a tricky topic when it comes to free speech and also now employing the use of social media?
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, it is a really tricky question. What fact checkers have always said is that it's not their goal to censor at all. Rather, they're adding speech. So, if you hear something that's false in a democratic society, and then you speak up and say, I think that's false, and here's the reasons why it's not backed up by evidence, then that's actually what you want to see to have a healthy democratic debate, right? You're giving the public more information that they can use to make up their own minds.
Very good advice. Professor Graves, thanks for being on with us.
It's my pleasure. Thanks so much.
We'll be right back.
Tomorrow on Live at 4, Will Loper shows us what's streaming this weekend. And later on News 3 Now at 6, Armand Rahman is live at Texas Roadhouse as they raise money for the victims of the ALCS shooting. Thanks for watching Live at 4 today. We hope to see you back here tomorrow. News 3 Now at 5 starts right now.